Hi, welcome back to Candy's Land. Today we're going to discuss, if I can talk, some terminology. So, and this is just to help you help whoever you're caring for with the talk that's going to come at you when you're on this journey of getting habilitations of any sort, or the IEPs, or even our typical kids are now. This is getting integrated a lot. So let's just start with some simple terms. And I'd said it in the other video, but I think I forgot to tell you what I meant. But always in any term, whether it's ABA, OT, whatever, I have worked in all of it. Whatever term your provider is giving you and you're like, I don't understand this, or whatever they're saying you need to incorporate and you don't understand it, comment, email me, whatever. I'll help you understand it, because in every business, every skill out there, we add all these. Okay, listen, let me make this simpler. You like the authenticity here? Because I'm not a video cutter. So someone just said start talking. So here I am. So I went to college for law, and I went 4 years, 2 different colleges, probably a decade apart. The terminology, for a piece of paper, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's made so that you have to invest money, or when you go get help from people, you don't know what they're talking about. Like, oh, you just let me handle it. I know it. I know this, right? And law was like that. And I just would think to myself, this is ridiculous. Like, can't we just call it what it is? No, because if you do that, you look dumb, right? Because we know the terms, we know how this all works. So that's why you pay us to do it. So just remember, that's how the whole world works. Okay, so I'm not downplaying. I'm not in all these videos. Just know I am not out here to insult anybody. I am really just to tell you what I know. I've been doing this for over 25 years. All types of kids, all different states, all different facets, whether it's court-appointed special advocate for the courts, or it's working in a preschool or an elementary school, or special needs or not, or traditional or Montessori or Christian, or any of it. I have just spent my whole life on it. Okay, taking a few exoduses and or whatever you want to call it, breaks, and worked in some other fields, and I always come back within less than a year. So this is what I know. Okay, so the lingo is built so that you have to pay someone, or they get to talk to you like they know something you don't. And the reality is, you live with your kid, and there's no way they know anything that you don't. There's just no way. They might know a better way to get to something, but that's just comes from, working with other kids. That would come from experience, because if you get a brand new habilitation person or ABA, they really are just going to play with your kid until learn your kid. So just know that, okay? That's what pairing is. So when you first get your service provider, no matter what service they provide, for a couple of weeks, they pair. Pairing is to get to know your kid and get their trust, and so that they'll do things for you, right? That's all they're doing. You do it every day, right? And if you understood the gravity and the power in that, you wouldn't need them to come. You don't. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So something simple like manding. What does manding mean? Demand. It means I'm asking for something. So when a therapist says, well, we got to, they need to be manding, they're saying they need to learn to ask for things. Like I just said in the other video of, if they can just open the fridge, why would they talk? If they can just point to it, throw a fit in the floor, and you get them because you know what they want, why would there ever be any value in talking? And so what they're saying is they need to mand. They're just saying they need to ask for things. Tacting, that's what I said in the other video. Just means label, tacting. This is a tacting book. These are tell me what this is, a house. So when they're like, oh, we're doing this tacting work, like they make it sound like it's so complicated and, it has all these special words and you couldn't do it. You can make a picture flip book and you can teach your kid to tact. Which means label. And honestly, this is something that is good, but not to only do. And if your provider does not take your kid by the hand and walk them around and label real things that are in their home or wherever you're at, this won't really help as much. And you'll always they'll just, oh, well, we have to do our 25 minutes of tacting on these cards, and then we'll move on to Play-Doh, whatever. I mean, I know that's kind of how I was trained, but I'm not in ABA therapy anymore because they tell me I'm not doing it right. But whenever I left a company, I took every single client with me. And I'm not saying that to be a jerk or, hey, or whatever. It just, their kids made progress. It wasn't about how many service hours can I bill you? How long can I make this last? It was how fast can we get to where we need to go? That's it, and not with pressure at all. That's looked down in a couple of fields I've been told, slow down. They're learning too much too fast. And I always go, what's the problem with that? And they're like, oh, they won't retain it. They'll forget. No, because we have something called maintenance, which is another word, which means when your child can tell me with their mouth everything that's in this picture, that's a mastery of this book. Okay. And so we're going to go to maintenance or generalization. So this is all relative. Generalization means I can tell you every pizza cutter, right? So this one's black, but if I see a blue one or a Mickey Mouse one or one that's shaped different, I can still tell you that it is a type of pizza cutter. Right? So that's generalization, which means if your kid comes and talks to me but doesn't go home and talk to you, we need to generalize it. I need to transfer that to you in your home, in your setting, so your child will talk to you. And that's called generalization because they do it for more than one person. So they're generalizing this new skill. And then once they've mastered it, which means they talk to everybody now, it's no problem. You're going to stay on maintenance, right? Words that they know, but you want to keep that in conversation. You want to bring this book out once a week and be like, do you remember what these are? Right? It's so simple that they have to add all this technical stuff to it, right? Or like law. Law is very simple. But we added all these terms and loopholes to make it more complicated, right? But it really doesn't need to be. It doesn't fit that it's that complicated, right? So, tacting, labeling, manding, I want, whether it's demand or I want something, give me that. Maintenance is just reincorporating it every once in a while to make sure the skill isn't lost. Okay. And there's lots of ways to do it. Say you already taught your kid to pour water, they're pouring water great. Okay. Now we want to add something to that, right? Like some soap, now make bubbles, right? And you just want to keep escalating it and with keeping the original thing there. So the mastery comes and the generalization comes and you're maintaining it because you're adding elements. Right? This, you could just add more pages and go through it, right? Or you could take away half of these and put half of a new book there. It's all done at once. It's called layered learning, which is something that has been misunderstood by a lot of people. Most people think it's too much work, but it's actually the simpler method. It's just the simpler method, because if you can just throw a whole bunch of things on a tray at once and it's all related, that's simpler than each step. Okay. You just built your way up there as you add more things to this tray. Okay. So you start out with just water and cups, and then you add some soap, and then you add something to stir it. And then you add smaller whole cups or vials, science vials. Let's see if I got some of these. Yeah. Yeah, like then they take the cups away and now you got something like this and you got, all of them in there, and then now they're pouring some smaller, whether you're coloring the water, you're adding beads, so many things that you are just adding the layers. And then your child has mastered everything at the lower skill level and they're just way up here, right? But the whole time you were maintaining this pouring, right? Again, these are things that are simply incorporated. Simple. But we make it way more complicated because if someone doesn't know more than you, why would you pay them? Right? And it's not that I know more. I've just done it for so long, and I've had so much breakthrough and so much progress, where people are just like, you got to slow down. We're not going to be able to keep building this family. And I'm like, isn't that a good thing? These guys are going to graduate way sooner than we thought. Well, isn't that good? No, we have to pay the rent. What? That's what I have found. And I've been in like 5 states. So, and it just always know that not everyone in every company, obviously, is going to be like that, but there's a lot of it. And a lot of it is just pointing out your kid's diagnosed. So this is such a hard thing when they're still just a child. Let's start with the simplest thing first and just see where we can go with it. Another word, extinction. Extinction is a concept, an ABA concept that I don't love. I use it, but I don't use it the way they use it. And I just never could because I didn't understand how this could be effective. This is more, again, a lot of habilitation specialists, a lot of ABA therapists, they have that C word, compliance. I'm going to get your child into compliance. I have no use for that. I am looking for cooperation from everyone, from old Max over here. I want cooperation. I'm not here to rule your life. And kids relax when they feel that from someone. Like, I just want to cooperate. I'm willing to give. I'm willing, I give a little, you give a little, and then eventually it builds, right? So if we're just looking for a kid to sit down and be quiet, first of all, no child should. I just find that boring. There's times to sit down, but it shouldn't be too long. And, most things should be hands-on and interactive and cooperative. So extinction is when your child's throwing a fit.